it's Cindy, and welcome back to Studioloo. Today I have a journal flip through for you. This is Shell Violetta, and it is another of my summer flea market style traveler's notebooks. So let's get started. This journal closes up with a gold eyelet on front and back. The cover is, it's closed with some vintage violet seam binding. The cover is made from a collaged masterboard that I collaged myself. And let me just pull this here so you'll see lots of fun details, vintage stamps and birds and botanicals and some ducks down here and some sewing ephemera and behind here, and this little sticker here with the shell and this girl. And on back we have a patchwork pocket that I stitched, and inside of it, first I'll show you the collage on the back. We have bug illustrations, and there's lots of stitching and other interesting things, nice fun text. Inside the back pocket we have this, it's a relatively hard tag, so it's like a thicker cardboard, and it has this nice blue fabric with this beautiful bird on it. It's actually thick enough to be used as a little writing board if you wanted to. So let's jump into the journal now. So these are pretty ephemera stuffed. I thought these would be really nice for, like, what I'm using mine for are a couple of little family vacations that we're taking, like a week or two's worth of writing every day about our adventures. So like definitely traveler's notebook. So on the inside we have this keyhole kind of pocket. And the inside is entirely fabric lined with this beautiful flowery, fun floral fabric. And inside is this large journal card that says "Out to the Garden," and it's a collage. Then we have this nice floral at the front. A little pocket here, botanical paper with this nice paper here with these lilies and lily pads and a little bit of collaging at the top. And that just tucks in there. This is cabbage dyed paper as well. And then one of my digitals, it's one of these, this is like a flower girl and all sorts of other little girls around her with flowers on their head. And this is a pocket made from a seed packet book. And then this is a fun tag made with silk silk fabric with flowers on it, and it's actually made from bubble wrap packaging, so it's got kind of a crinkly sound and a crinkly feel, and you can feel the bubble wrap under there, and it's got nice pink paper on back. Also cabbage dyed paper back here. And then this is a vintage photograph, and I've made a pocket out of it and added some stitched collage paper here, and it's just on some nice text, vintage text paper that's been cabbage dyed. This is a jumbo playing card. I've put a fairy and some paper and just kind of inked it up, and on back it says "Until It Became a Mountain" with this nice vintage label, and there's brown packing paper on back. Cabbage dyed paper. This is my own digital of just some nice flowers, and this is a fabric pocket, and inside this tag with this lovely fairy, and it says "Mellow brick cottages huddle together along a steeply cobbled twisting street," and it's got some jute up top, and there's like a nice little cobblestone street behind her. And then this is just some fun painty kind of paper with this nice washi tape. And on back we have, this is actually a Rorschach painting that I did when I did a video about Rorschach painting with nice bright colors. Rusty paper clip holding this piece of fun vintage ephemera. So this is a yarn sample card from the early 70s from an estate that I acquired from a weaver, and yeah, it's just beautiful wool yarns. This is one of my digitals of a scanned piece of vintage silk. And we have some fun fabric on the side here from a vintage dress, and cabbage dyed paper. This side we have this pocket, and it's an upper pocket. It says the rain might turn to snow, and has these two ladies sitting here, some lace on the bottom. At the back you can see this beautiful botanical and like a calendar from 1916. Then this is just a little journal card from a vintage brownies book from the 50s, and it says sit and sing by a spring, and it's this little girl with this kind of handkerchief on her head, and she's just kind of setting up her boots, and on back is some tea-dyed paper. Oh, and there's a little bulb clip here with a blue pearl and some little organza and lace bits. Cabbage dyed paper, some nice botanical paper. And then this is a paper sack that's been collaged on with this lovely fairy and this beautiful dress. And the pockets up top, you'll see some stitching here of leaves down the side. And this is a journal card that says by the end of the summer, and it has this beautiful blue iceberg with a beautiful sky in back, and it's been stitched around on some vintage book paper, and that just tucks inside the sack up here. And on back a little collage with this bicycle, and on this page it's a botanical paper, and it's been cabbage dyed as well, and a couple things here in a rusty paper clip. So one is a vintage card from a box of plant cards from 1978, and this is the Firethorn. And then this is like a coin envelope for rolling and depositing your coins, and that's held on with a rusty paper clip here. Then on this side we have this fun, this is actually from a quilt book, this paper, and we've got some washi tape, bee washi tape here, and a paper clip holding on this little envelope that's been collaged. And inside we have a little journal card of some sweet little frogs, little bullfrogs. And that just pops in there. I'll flip it up here. Flip it back on there. There we go. And then this is a little flip out. This is actually from a field guide about butterflies and moths. And then some jelly printed music paper. And then this is just a fun vintage digital print with some of my wool silk felting that's been stitched on as a tab. The back is cabbage dyed. Then we have a pocket up here made from these lovely colors. This is actually from a vintage art magazine from the 70s. And this is tea-dyed shibori paper on back. And then this is a journal card that's been made from a vintage art book. And it's like the roots of a tree. And it has some mauve paper on back. And then this is just a little tab that's been made from a bit of collaging, just a little tuck spot. It's got map on it and some botanicals. And here's a nice vintage botanical page that's been tea-dyed. And then the journal card is a large one, and this is from a vintage field guide book about birds. Cabbage dyed paper. This is some vintage ledger with this lovely little tuck spot made from this butterfly, and inside we have another little frog journal card that just tucks in there. And then on this side we have more of the vintage ledger, and then this beautiful bird digital notebook paper. And then across the center of the journal we have this nice lace in this beautiful purple color, and it's cabbage dyed paper. Inside we have these doves. It's a journal card. And then a nice piece of stationery all about mushrooms. And then more nice paper with some butterflies and journaling space. Vintage ledger. And this is just a little bit of fabric for a bit of texture. Cabbage dyed paper, and this is some beautiful fruit. This is cabbage dyed paper, more cabbage dyed paper that's been used as a tuck spot with a New Zealand $1 stamp with this beautiful butterfly. I swear New Zealand has the most beautiful stamps. And then I've made this collage tag with this lovely finch. And then a pocket made from a scrap of vintage fabric with a flower, and inside a tag that I collaged with this balloon. This is shibori dyed paper that was cabbage dyed, and more cabbage dyed paper. And I've stitched on a piece of measuring tape from a vintage measuring tape. And this is a vintage scan of botanicals and things from Amadee Bloom. And this is more of the music paper that's been jelly printed. And then on this page I've stitched some of my hand spun art yarn down the side. And it's on some quilt paper. This says The Man in the Moon and has this little moon that's been glued from side to side on this cabbage dyed botanical paper. This is the other side of that sack. It's been stitched down again with leaves and this fun label. And inside we have this journal card that I've stitched some of my wool silk felting to the top, and it has this beautiful orange tree up here and these cute little family here, and it says wandering about in the daylight hours, and it has avocado dyed paper on the back. So that just tucks in the top of this sack. And on this side we have some collaging and a butterfly, more of the botanical paper with more of my wool silk felting that's been stitched on as a tab. Then a little vintage playing card with a pirate and a little parrot on his shoulder. Cabbage dyed paper. This is a large journal tag made from a botanical seed packet image of lilies. And then this is a vintage photograph, probably from the 50s. It's from like a large group of photographs that I got that were all from the 50s. And this gentleman is from the Salvation Army. And more of the cabbage dyed botanical paper with some text. Cabbage dyed paper, a pocket made from a bird book. It says birds of different feathers, and that is a scan of some vintage, a vintage silk scarf that I have. And this is a tag made from this beautiful mushroom image, and it has some jute ribbon on top, then a Rorschach painting and a tab fabric, same fabric that's been used to create these pockets throughout this journal. This is from a vintage seed packet. Just a floral journal card that tucks right in this fabric pocket. And another of my own cabbage dyed digitals. And then a fussy cut of a rose from a rose book, and it says rosebuds can't do anything but smell nice. And then this is some vintage ledger paper that's been cabbage dyed, and a little fabric collage with a vintage button, and some cabbage dyed paper with some vintage, I believe this is crochet or possibly tatting. It was a large piece that I've just been cutting away at. And some more botanical paper that's been tea dyed. Then on this page, it's cabbage dyed paper with the daffodils again. This is the last page. And I created this large envelope that clips on with a rusty paper clip. It says stood in the warm sunlight, and it's made from, this is jelly printed music paper with this nice rose and a vintage stamp and label, and some fussy cuts from beautiful children's book on back, map on the inside, and then we have a vintage postcard on the inside, and it's written from a gentleman named Abbott. He's in Jerusalem and he wrote a letter to his doctor, and it was never posted, so it is inside here. Just gotta tuck it back in, which is always the struggle when I'm filming, is getting things back in here. But yeah, it's just a fun little thing, and that just paper clips on here, and you could use this to post a letter, or you could use it for something else, or just keep it in your journal like I tend to do with all of my ephemera. And then a fabric corner tuck here, and then these this is just a large journaling space, and I've put some vintage candy stickers on it. This was actually a group of tabs that these large tabs that were in a collection of old 45 vinyl records that I got, and they have these cool like impressions on them. I don't know what caused them, but like they're textural and fun, so I just inked it all up and left the tab there, and I thought they were a nice way to have a big tag for journaling on. So that is the whole book. My feeling and the vibe for these journals was like how to spend a nice summer, and that was doing things like going camping and enjoying nature, going to farmers markets and flea markets and antique stores and thrift stores, and you know, just being creative. And that's kind of the vibe for these journals. So I have created a few more. You can check them out in my journal flip through playlist. All of my social media information is down below in the description box, including my Etsy shop, where this journal will be shortly after this video posts, if not already. Thank you so much for watching again, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Take care.